It starts 3 days after the escrow freeze. I get a voicemail from a number I don't recognize. Male voice, calm but strained. Victoria Ames. My name is Reed Mason. I'm with Brixton Holdings. Not legal, not PR. Just a guy who understands what happens when people like you get erased. We should talk. He doesn't leave a callback number. But his name, Mason, shows up in the internal Brixton email I reviewed years ago, back when I was auditing acquisition risk on another target. He's an internal fixer, the kind of person companies send when the PR team can't spin the mess anymore. I don't call back. Yet. Instead, I get a second email. Patricia forwarded it quietly. Subject line, Options analysis, certifier nullification. She just wrote 2 words, still want out? And that's when I realized they weren't just scrambling over the clause. They were studying me now. My email patterns, my notes, the metadata on every document I'd ever written. Not for errors, for leverage. They wanted me back. Not publicly, not to reinstate me, but just long enough to extract the signature they needed. I picture Kyle pacing his condo in dress socks, rehearsing a phone call he'll never get to make. He still hasn't updated LinkedIn. That's how I know he's not done trying. Then the new name pops up, Leo Wexler, a junior executive from Brixton, flown in under the title Interim Integration Liaison, which is corporate speak for clean this up or kill it fast. She schedules a coffee chat at a local spot in Jersey City. I show up. Leah's already seated, back straight, laptop closed, coffee untouched. She doesn't waste time. Victoria, this situation doesn't serve anyone. You made your point, but the market reacts badly to drama. I smile just a little. You're here because your CEO knows how bad it really is. Leah pauses, then leans in. What do you want? She asks. Not hostile, not warm, just surgical. And for a brief second, I let the silence answer. I could ask for money. I can name my price. They'd probably pay it. But that's not the point. What I want is consequences. For Kyle. For the CFO who laughed. For the product VP who called me emotional deadweight. For every person who clapped when I disappeared. I slide a folder across the table. Inside, a printed timeline, emails, calendar invites, call logs. A complete breadcrumb trail that shows, minute by minute, how they try to bypass their own clause. Names, dates, IP addresses. Leah blinks. Is this extortion? No, I say, standing up. It's documentation. The thing you all forgot matters. As I walk away, her phone buzzes. She's still staring at the folder, but I already know what's happening. Brixton is going to pull the trigger on their own investigation because they'd rather burn Corin Sis to the ground than risk appearing complicit. And that's when I hear it. A week later, Kyle tries to leak a story. He calls in a favor at a mid-tier tech blog, plants a piece claiming the acquisition failed because of legacy infrastructure bottlenecks and uncooperative former leadership. I'm not named, but I don't need to be. It's me. But here's where he overplays his hand. The story drops, lightly rewritten, barely edited. And someone at Brixton recognizes the language from Kyle's previous Slack posts. He plagiarized himself. Rookie mistake. The blog takes it down. But not before a senior Brixton VP forwards it to Leo Wexler with one line. Your guy? She replies, not anymore. Now Kyle's NDA is under review. And if it's breached, his severance vanishes. His options get frozen. Patricia, meanwhile, sends me a message. Off the record, your file's being used in Brixton's internal training for acquisition compliance vulnerabilities. You're a case study now. I reply with a single emoji, the lock. The story breaks wider than anyone expected. On a Thursday morning, I wake to 6 LinkedIn messages. 3 are recruiters. 1 is a podcast invite. 1 is a burner account asking, did Kyle really try to forge the sign-off? And 1 is from Maya. Yes, that Maya. The compliance intern they set up to fail. Her message is short. Just 3 lines. Hi, Victoria. I know I wasn't ready. I think they're going to blame me. Can we talk? I don't respond. Not yet. Because that same morning, Brixton makes a quiet move. They pull the entire post-acquisition team off the project. Frozen. No transition work. No document handoffs. No bonuses. Every email redirected to a generic compliance mailbox. And quietly, They issue a 48-hour request to Corin's board. Full compliance records, raw audit trails, and confirmation of who created Clause 12B. I know what that means. They're building their own legal firebreak. Not just looking to clean house, they're looking to lay blame. Publicly, if needed. And Kyle? Kyle finally cracks. He shows up at HQ. Not scheduled. Not invited. Just barges in like a man who forgot he's already been erased. He heads straight for legal. Claims he's there to provide clarification and transitional support. Says he can still broker a solution. Maybe Victoria can be brought back in temporarily under an advisory title. The GC doesn't respond. Just picks up the phone. Security escorts Kyle out 6 minutes later. No jitting. No scene. Just the shuffle of a man realizing the game moved on without him. Across town, I finally meet Maya. She looks exhausted. She hands me a USB drive. I copied everything, she says, hands trembling. Emails. Slack. Even the draft Kyle told me to backdate. I didn't do it, I swear. But I saved it. I asked her why she's really here. She looks down. He told me you were paranoid. That Clause 12B didn't matter. That you were unstable. My stomach turns, not with shock, but with that old, familiar nausea. The kind that sets in when you realize how many people were nodding along in those rooms. I tell her, you're not the one they're going to blame. You're the witness now. Because I know something Brixton doesn't. Maya didn't just copy draft files. She screen recorded a Zoom. One where Kyle dictated, line by line, the email she never sent. The one where he tried to forge my name into the certification sequence. It's time-stamped. It has his voice. And it ends with him saying, no one's going to check. Vic's gone. I don't send it to Brixton. Not yet. Because something bigger is coming. The press leaks begin Friday. A blind item on a tech news aggregator site. Headline, $180M acquisition in freefall over compliance blackout. No names. No details. Just enough smoke to start a fire. By Monday, half a dozen outlets are sniffing around. Investors start asking questions. And then the CEO of Corin's, the man who laughed on the Q4 call when I was fired, calls an emergency board meeting. He's not there to lead. He's there to resign. The message is simple. We failed to uphold the trust required during a material transaction. I take responsibility for the oversight in compliance transition. Translation, Kyle dragged him down with him. And Brixton? They're not done yet. They offer me a position. Not compliance officer. Chief risk officer. They want me to rebuild the entire pipeline I once protected, from scratch, on my terms with my own team. I asked for a clause of my own. Call it poetic symmetry. They agree. I send one last message before accepting the role. To Kyle. Just one sentence. Escrow wasn't the only lock you missed. By the time my onboarding paperwork is signed, the fallout is fully underway. Corin's has hemorrhaged $42 million in market cap. The acquisition is still on indefinite hold. Internal morale is in free fall. Half the leadership team has gone dark on LinkedIn, switching their job titles to vague nonsense like strategy executive or innovation leader in transition. Translation, they're all looking for a way out. And that's when Brixton drops the hammer. They initiate a formal post-mortem audit, not internal, federal. SEC inquiry level. They're not just covering their own backs now. They're setting the stage for litigation. Meanwhile, I get a call from HR. Not Brixton's. Corin's. The woman sounds nervous. We've been asked to schedule a clarification call with Ms. Ames to help document post-transition compliance steps. I almost laugh. No, I say calmly. I no longer offer clarification for free. That same afternoon, Maya messages me again. This time it's worse. Kyle called me. Said if I don't delete that recording, I'm complicit. I reply instantly. Send it to Patricia. BCC. Yourself. Full chain of custody. Then I screenshot it. For the record. Because Kyle doesn't know something important. When Brixton onboarded me, I asked for one quiet hire. Just one. Maya. She's not an intern anymore. She's junior risk analyst, level 2. Under my direct supervision. She just flipped from disposable pawn to protected whistleblower, and Kyle just threatened her across state lines, which is a felony. At this point, the only thing Kyle has left is fear. He starts posting vague legal takes on Twitter. Stuff like intent is subjective, and contracts are just frameworks for negotiation. Probably thinks he sounds clever, but the replies aren't buying it. Someone links a redacted version of Clause 12b. Another drops a meme, a rusted padlock with the caption, Kyle's escrow strategy. At the office, the mood has shifted. People smile when they see me in the hallway, but it's a different kind of smile. Not polite, not corporate, relieved. I'm not back for glory. I'm not here for some LinkedIn redemption arc. I'm here to finish this. That's when Patricia sends me a message. Short, surgical. Preliminary findings are done. Kyle will be cited. Possible fraud. Possible retaliation. Forwarding to legal. She attaches one final file, a memo he drafted a week before my termination. The subject line? Removing bottlenecks. Risk realignment via personnel streamlining. It's a hit list. I'm at the top. Maya's name is on there, too. Beside each name is a justification column. Mine reads, emotional unpredictability. Overinvested in compliance legacy systems. He didn't just fire me. He documented it like a threat analysis. Patricia's final audit summary goes out that Friday. I don't need to read it all. I know what it says. But one line jumps out. The compliance officer acted within scope. Clause 12b was not only valid, it was enforceable. Attempts to undermine or falsify certification post-termination constitute both breach and exposure. Recommendations: referral to external counsel. Protective measures for involved parties, aims, intern, audit. Consider disbarment of VP, Kyle R. from further fiduciary responsibilities. The email is CC'd to Brixton. And the SEC, that's the moment I know it's done. But there's still one more act to play. The last time I saw Kyle in person was in a conference room under harsh LED lights. Months ago, when he stood grinning in front of the team he just gutted. Now he's back in the same building, but this time he's not grinning. He's being escorted out. No HR script, no farewell email, no fake applause. Just a plain manila folder in his hand and the slow realization on his face that the world he ruled for 5 years had shrunk down to a non-disclosure agreement and revoked access. I'm not there to see it, but Maya is. She sends me a text. He looked stunned, like it hadn't sunk in until the badge didn't work. Later, I find out he tried to negotiate, tried to trade strategic insights for reduced findings. But Patricia's audit had already gone public. Redacted, of course, but the industry whispers loud when there's blood in the water. Within 72 hours, his name was blacklisted from every Tier 1 acquisition team in the region. Then the SEC sent a formal notice of preliminary inquiry. Not criminal, not yet, but the kind that freezes assets, flags tax records, and makes recruiters disappear. I'm told Kyle moved back to his hometown in Ohio. Opened some kind of executive leadership consultancy that hasn't posted a single testimonial. Meanwhile, I take Maya to lunch. We sit at a rooftop cafe overlooking the skyline, tall, quiet, wind biting in that October way that makes everything feel earned. She tells me she wants to go back to school. Not leave the company, but finish a program in data ethics. Maybe even law, one day. I nod. You'll be good, I tell her. You already are. Across the city, Brixton finalizes a new acquisition strategy. Smaller, quieter, tighter. They know better now. They don't write ceremonial clauses anymore. They enforce them. And my clause? 12b. They renamed it. It's now part of their permanent compliance protocols under a new title, the Ames condition. Every new deal gets briefed on it. Every audit team learns its language. It's not just policy now. It's precedent. 1 week later, I get a package. No return address. Inside, my old ceramic mug. The one I left behind. The one that read, I know where the bodies are buried, and I filed the paperwork. Taped to the inside of the box is a post-it. 3 words, written in neat, block letters, Clause 12b lives. I smile. A real one this time. Because I didn't just survive. I rewrote the rules. Kyle thought I was emotional overload. But what I really was the lock. And he never had the key. Thanks for sticking through to the end. If this story hit a little too close to your office, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and drop your city in the comments. I want to know where the smart rebels live. and maybe, just maybe, which claws you'll write next.